Judges, Shoftim. Chapter 1. Now, after the death of Yahusha, it came to pass that the children of Yasharel asked Yahuah, saying, Who shall go up for us against the Kenaan first to fight against them? And Yahuah said, Yahudah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. And Yahudah said unto Shimon his brother, Come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Kenaan, and I likewise will go with you into your lot. So Shimon went with him. And Yahudah went up, and Yahuah delivered the Kenaan and the Perizzee into their hand. And they slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men. And they found Adoni-Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they slew the Kenaan and the Perizzee. But Adoni-Bezek fled, and they pursued after him, and caught him, and cut off his thumbs and his great toes. And Adoni-Bezek said, 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table. As I have done, so Elohim has requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Yahudah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it, and had smitten it with the edge of the sword, and set the city on fire. And afterward the children of Yahudah went down to fight against the Kenaan that dwelt in the mountain, and in the south, and in the valley. And Yahudah went against the Kenaan that dwelt at Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before was Kiriath Arba, and they slew Sheshai, and Achiman, and Talmai. And from thence he went against the inhabitants of Dabar, and the name of Dabar before was Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, He that smites Kiriath Sepher and takes it, to him will I give Aksah my daughter to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Aksah his daughter to wife. And it came to pass, when she came to him, that she moved him to ask of her father a field. And she lighted from off her ass, and Caleb said unto her, What will you? And she said unto him, Give me a blessing, for you have given me a southland. Give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. And the children of Kenaan, Moshe's father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Yahudah into the wilderness of Yahudah, which lies in the south of Arad, and they went and dwelt among the people. And Yahudah went with Shimon his brother, and they slew the Kenaan that inhabited Sephath, and utterly destroyed it. And the name of the city was called Hormah. Also Yahudah took Azah with the coast thereof, and Ashkelon with the coast thereof, and Ekron with the coast thereof. And Yahuah was with Yahudah, and he drove out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. And they gave Hebron unto Caleb, as Moshe had said, and he expelled thence the 3 sons of Anak. And the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Yebusi that inhabited Jerusalem, but the Yebusi dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem unto this day. And the house of Yosef, they also went up against Bethel, and Yahuah was with them. And the house of Yosef sent to descry Bethel. Now the name of the city before was Luz. And the spies saw a man coming forth out of the city, and they said unto him, Show us, we pray you, the entrance into the city, and we will show you mercy. And when he showed them the entrance to the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword, but they let go the man and all his family. And the man went into the land of the Hittite, and built a city, and called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day. Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Bethshean and her towns, nor Ta'anak and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Ibleam and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddon and her towns, but the Kenaan would dwell in that land. And it came to pass, when Yasharel was strong, that they put the Kenaan to tribute, and did not utterly drive them out. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Kenaan that dwelt in Gezer, but the Kenaan dwelt in Gezer among them. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, nor the inhabitants of Nahalol, but the Kenaan dwelt among them and became tributaries. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Akko, nor the inhabitants of Zidon, nor of Achlab, nor of Achzib, nor of Helbah, nor of Aphik, nor of Rehob. But the Asheri dwelt among the Kenaan, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh, nor the inhabitants of Beth Anath, but he dwelt among the Kenaan, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and of Beth Hanath became tributaries unto them. And the Emori forced the children of Dan into the mountain, for they would not suffer them to come down to the valley. But the Emori would dwell in Mount Heres and Ayalon, and in Sha'albim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed, so that they became tributaries. And the coast of the Emori was from the going up to Akrab, from the rock and upward. Chapter 2. And an angel of Yahuah came up from Gilgal to Bochim, and said, I made you go up out of Mitzrayim, and have brought you unto the land which I swore unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. And you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their God shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass, when the angel of Yahuah spoke these words unto all the children of Yasharel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept. And they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto Yahuah. And when Yahusha had let the people go, the children of Yasharel went every man unto his inheritance to possess the land. And the people served Yahuah all the days of Yahusha, and all the days of the elders that outlived Yahusha, who had seen all the great works of Yahuah that he did for Yasharel. And Yahusha, the son of Nun, the servant of Yahuah, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres, in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yahuah, nor yet the works which he had done for Yasharel. And the children of Yasharel did evil in the sight of Yahuah, and served Baal. And they forsook Yahuah Elohim of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked Yahuah to anger. And they forsook Yahuah, and served Baal and Ashtaroth. And the anger of Yahuah was hot against Yasharel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of Yahuah was against them for evil, as Yahuah had said, and as Yahuah had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, Yahuah raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them, and they turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of Yahuah, but they did not so. And when Yahuah raised them up judges, then Yahuah was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented Yahuah because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, in following other gods to serve them, and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And the anger of Yahuah was hot against Yasharel, and he said, Because that this people hath transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Yahusha left when he died. that through them I may prove Yasharel, whether they will keep the way of Yahuah to walk therein as their fathers did keep it, or not. Therefore Yahuah left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Yahusha. Chapter 3. Now these are the nations which Yahuah left to prove Yasharel by them, even as many of Yasharel as had not known all the wars of Kenaan, only that the generations of the children of Yasharel might know, to teach them war, at least such as before knew nothing thereof, namely, 5 lords of the Pelishti, and all the Kenaan, and the Tzidoni, and the Hiwi that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from the Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering of Hamath. And they were to prove Yasharel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of Yahuah, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moshe. And the children of Yasharel dwelt among the Kenaan, Hitti, and Emori, and the Perizi, and the Hiwi, and the Yebusi. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of Yasharel did evil in the sight of Yahuah, and forgot Yahuah their Elohim, and served Baal and the Asherah. Therefore the anger of Yahuah was hot against Yasharel. And he sold them into the hand of Cushan Rishathaim, king of Aram Naharaim. And the children of Yasharel served Cushan Rishathaim 8 years. And when the children of Yasharel cried unto Yahuah, Yahuah raised up a deliverer to the children of Yasharel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Ruach of Yahuah came upon him, and he judged Yasharel, and went out to war. And Yahuah delivered Cushan Rishathaim, king of Aram Naharaim, into his hand. And his hand prevailed against Cushan Rishathaim, and the land had rest 40 years. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. And the children of Yasharel did evil again in the sight of Yahuah. And Yahuah strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Yasharel, because they had done evil in the sight of Yahuah. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Yasharel, and possessed the city of palm trees. So the children of Yasharel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Yasharel cried unto Yahuah, Yahuah raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gerah, a Ben-Yemeni, a man left-handed. And by him the children of Yasharel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges, of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, the king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the idols that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto you, O king. Who said, Keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him. And as he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone, and Ehud said, I have a message from Elohim unto you. And he arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand, and took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and dirt came out. Then Ehud went forth through the porch, and shut the doors of the parlor upon him, and locked them. When he was gone out, his servants came, and when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, they said, Surely he covers his feet in his summer chamber. And they tarried till they were ashamed, and behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took a key, and opened them. And behold, their lord was fallen down dead on the earth. And Ehud escaped while they tarried, and passed beyond the idols, and escaped unto Seirah. And it came to pass, when he was come, that he blew a trumpet in the mount of Ephraim. And the children of Yasharel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. And he said unto them, Follow after me, for Yahuah has delivered your enemies, the Moab, into your hand. And they went down after him, and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty, and all men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Yasharel, and the land had rest 80 years. And after him was Shamgar the son of Anath, which slew of the Pelishti 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Yasharel. Chapter 4. And the children of Yasharel again did evil in the sight of Yahuah, when Ehud was dead. And Yahuah sold them into the hand of Yabin, king of Kenaan, that reigned in Hatzor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Yasharel cried unto Yahuah, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Yasharel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lepidoth, she judged Yasharel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Yasharel came up to her for judgment. And she went and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtuhim, and said unto him, Has not Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with you 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun? And I will draw unto you to the river of Kishon Sisera, the captain of Yabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into your hand. And Barak said unto her, If you will go with me, then I will go, but if you will not go with me, then I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with you. Notwithstanding the journey that you take shall not be for your honor. For Yahuah shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Cain, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moshe, had severed himself from the Cani, and pitched his tent unto the plain of Sa'an-Anim, which is by Kadesh. And they showed Sisera that Barak, the son of Abinoam, was gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river of Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this day is the day which Yahuah has delivered Sisera into your hand. Is not Yahuah gone out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. And Yahuah discomfited Sisera and all his chariots, and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles, and all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tents of Yael, the wife of Heber of Cain, for there was peace between Yabin, the king of Hatzor, and the house of Heber the Cain. And Yael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray you, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk, and gave him drink, and covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man does come and inquire of you, and say, Is there any man in there? That you shall say, No. Then Yael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary. So he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Yael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, I will show you the man whom you seek. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. So Elohim subdued on that day Yabin, the king of Kenaan, before the children of Yasharel. And the hand of the children of Yasharel prospered and prevailed against Yabin, the king of Kenaan, until they had destroyed Yabin, king of Kenaan. Chapter 5. Then sang Dabar and Barak, the son of Abinoam, on that day, saying, Kneel down you to Yahuah for the avenging of Yasharel, when the people willingly offered themselves. Hear, O you kings, give ear, O you princes. I, even I, will sing unto Yahuah. I will sing praise to Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel. Yahuah, when you went out of Seir, when you marched out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled, and the heavens dropped, the clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted from before Yahuah, even that Sinai from before Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel. In the days of Shamgar the son of Anath, in the days of Yael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through byways. The inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased in Yasharel, until that I, Deborah, arose, that I arose a mother in Yasharel. They chose new gods, then was war in the gates. Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Yasharel? My heart is toward the governors of Yasharel, that offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless you, Yahuah. Speak you that ride on white asses, you that sit in judgments, and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahuah, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Yasharel. Then shall the people of Yahuah go down to the gates. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, utter a song. Arise, Barak, and lead your captivity captive, you son of Abinoam. Then he made him that remains have dominion over the nobles among the people. Yahuah made me have dominion over the mighty. Out of Ephraim was there a root of them against Amalek. After you, Benjamin, among your people, out of Machir came down governors. Out of Zebulun they that handle the pen of the writer. And the princes of Yissaschar were with Deborah, even Yissaschar, and also Barak. He was sent on foot into the valley. For the divisions of Reuben there were great thoughts of heart. Why abode you among the sheepfolds, to hear the bleatings of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben there were great searchings of heart. Gilad abode upon Yarden, and why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the seashore, and abode in his breaches. Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeoparded their lives unto the death in the high places of the field. The kings came and fought. Then fought the kings of Kenaan in Ta'anak by the waters of Megiddon. They took no gain of money. They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. The river of Kishon swept them away. That ancient river, the river Kishon. O my soul, you have trodden down strength. Then were the horse hoofs broken by the means of the prancings of their mighty ones. Curse you, Meroz, said the angel of Yahuah, curse you bitterly, the inhabitants thereof, because they came not to the help of Yahuah, against the mighty. Blessed above women shall Yael, the wife of Heber the Keni, be. Blessed shall be above women in the tent. He asked water, and she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in a lordly dish. She put her hand to the nail, and her right hand to the workman's hammer. And with the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head, when she had pierced and stricken through his temples. At her feet he bowed, he fell, he lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell, where he bowed, where he fell down dead. The mother of Sisera looked out at a window and cried through the lattice, Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the wheels of his chariots? Her wise ladies answered her, yea, she returned answer to herself. Have they not sped? Have they not divided the prey? To every man a damsel or two, to Sisera a prey of divers colors, of needlework, on both sides, meat for the necks of them that take the spoil. So let all your enemies perish, O Yahuah, but let them that love him be as the sun when he goes forth in his might. And the land had rest 40 years. Chapter 6. And the children of Yasharel did evil in the sight of Yahuah, and Yahuah delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Yasharel, and because of the Midian, the children of Yasharel made them the dens which are in the mountains, and caves, and strongholds. And so it was, when Yasharel had sown, that the Midian came up, and the Amaleki and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth, till you come upon Azah, and left no sustenance for Yasharel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for the multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Yasharel was greatly impoverished because of the Midian. And the children of Yasharel cried unto Yahuah. And it came to pass, when the children of Yasharel cried unto Yahuah because of the Midian, that Yahuah sent a prophet unto the children of Yasharel, which said unto them, Thus said Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel, I brought you up from Mitzrayim, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Mitzrayim, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drove them out from before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am Yahuah your Elohim. Fear not the gods of the Emori, in whose land you dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of Yahuah, and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained to Joash, the Abi ha-Azri. And his son Gidon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midian. And the angel of Yahuah appeared unto him, and said unto him, Yahuah is with you, you mighty man of valor. And Gidon said unto him, O my Adon, if Yahuah be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our father told us of, saying, Did not Yahuah bring us up from Mitzrayim? But now Yahuah has forsaken us, and delivered us into the hands of the Midian. And Yahuah looked upon him, and said, Go in this your might, and you shall save Yasharel from the hand of the Midian. Have not I sent you? And he said unto him, O my Adonai, wherewith shall I save Yasharel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And Yahuah said unto him, Surely I will be with you, and you shall smite the Midian as one man. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in your sight, then show me a sign that you talk with me. Depart not hence, I pray you, until I come unto you, and bring forth my present, and set it before you. And he said, I will tarry until you come again. And Gidon went in, and made ready a kid, and matzah of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of Elohim said unto him, Take the flesh and the matzah, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of Yahuah put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the matzah, and there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the matzah. Then the angel of Yahuah departed out of his sight. And when Gidon perceived that he was an angel of Yahuah, Gidon said, Alas, O Adonai Yahuah, for because I have seen an angel of Yahuah face to face. And Yahuah said unto him, Peace be unto you, fear not, you shall not die. Then Gidon built an altar there unto Yahuah, and called it Yahuah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet in Ophrah, in the city of Abi ha-Azri. And it came to pass the same night that Yahuah said unto him, Take your father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the Asherah that is by it, and build an altar unto Yahuah your Elohim upon the top of this rock in the ordered place, and take the second bullock, and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the Asherah which you shall cut down. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as Yahuah had said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the Asherah was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said to one another, Who has done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, has done this thing. Then the men of the city said to Joash, Bring out your son, that he may die, because he has cast down the altar of Baal, and because he has cut down the Asherah that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, Will you plead for Baal? Will you save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death whilst it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one has cast down his altar. Therefore on that day he called him Yerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, because he has thrown down his altar. Then all the Midian and the Amaleki and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Yezreel. But the Ruach of Yahuah came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. And Gideon said unto Elohim, If you will save Yasharel by mine hand, as you have said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool on the floor. And if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that you will save Yasharel by mine hand, as you have said. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow, and thrust the fleece together, and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto Elohim, Let not your anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray you, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And Elohim did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. Chapter 7. Then Yerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him, rose up early, and pitched beside the well of Ein Harod, so that the most high of the Midian were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And Yahuah said unto Gideon, The people that are with you are too many for me to give the Midian into their hands, lest Yasharel vaunt themselves against me, saying, My own hand has saved me. Now, therefore, go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, Whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return, and depart early from Mount Gilad. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. And Yahuah said unto Gideon, The people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for you there. And it shall be, that of whom I say unto you, This shall go with you, the same shall go with you, and of whomsoever I say unto you, This shall not go with you, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people unto the water, and Yahuah said unto Gideon, Every one that laps of the water with his tongue, as a dog laps, him shall you set by himself. Likewise every one that bows down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And Yahuah said unto Gideon, By the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midian into your hand, and let all the other people go, every man unto his place. So the people took victuals in their hand, and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Yasharel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men, and the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass that same night, that Yahuah said unto him, Arise, get you down unto the host, for I have delivered it into your hand. But if you fear to go down, go you with Purah, your servant, down to the host, and you shall hear what they say. And afterward shall your hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then he went down with Purah his servant unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midian and the Amaleki and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for multitude, and their camels were without number, as the sand by the seaside for multitude. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow, and said, Behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian, and came unto a tent, and smote it that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent lay along. And his fellow answered and said, This is nothing else save the sword of Gideon the son of Joash, the man of Yasharel, for into his hand has Elohim delivered Midian and all the host. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped, and returned into the host of Yasharel, and said, Arise, for Yahuah has delivered into your hand the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put a trumpet in every man's hand, with empty pitchers and lamps within the pitchers. And he said unto them, Look on me, and do likewise. And behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall you do. When I blow a trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpets also on every side of the camp, and say, The sword of Yahuah and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 300 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch. And they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets, and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets, and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hands, and the trumpets in their right hands, to blow withal. And they cried, The sword of Yahuah and of Gideon. And they stood, every man in his place, round about the camp. And all the host ran, and cried, and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and Yahuah set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the host. And the host fled to Beth Hashitah in Seiriah, and to the border of Abel Mecholah, unto Tabbath. And the men of Yasharel gathered themselves together out of Naphtali, and out of Asher, and out of all Manasseh, and pursued after the Midian. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all Mount Ephraim, saying, Come down against the Midian, and take before them the waters unto Beth Barah and Yarden. Then all the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together, and took the waters unto Beth Barah and Yarden. And they took 2 princes of the Midian, Oreb and Zeeb, and they slew Oreb upon the rock. Oreb and Zeeb they slew at the winepress of Zeeb, and pursued Midian, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeeb to Gideon on the other side Yarden. Chapter 8. And the men of Ephraim said unto him, Why have you served us thus, that you called us not when you went to fight with the Midian? And they did chide with him sharply. And he said unto them, What have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? Elohim has delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeeb, and what was I able to do in comparison of you? Then their anger was abated toward him when he had said that. And Gideon came to Yarden, and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint, yet pursuing them. And he said unto the men of Succoth, Give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebach and Salmunah, kings of Midian. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebach and Salmunah now in your hand, that we should give bread unto your army? And Gideon said, Therefore when Yahuah has delivered Zebach and Salmunah into my hand, then I will tear your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars. And he went up thence to Penuel, and spoke unto them likewise. And the men of Penuel answered him as the men of Succoth had answered him. And he spoke also unto the men of Penuel, saying, When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. Now Zebach and Salmunah were in Karkor, and their host with them, about 15,000 men, all that were left of all the hosts of the children of the east, for there fell 120,000 men that drew sword. And Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobach and Yogbehah, and smote the host, for the host was secure. And when Zebach and Salmunah fled, he pursued after them, and took the 2 kings of Midian, Zebach and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the host. And Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from battle before the sun was up, and caught a young man of the men of Succoth, and inquired of him. And he described unto him the princes of Succoth, and the elders thereof, even 17 men. And he came unto the men of Succoth, and said, Behold, Zebach and Zalmunna, of whom you did upbraid me, saying, Are the hands of Zebach and Zalmunna now in your hand, that we should give bread unto your men that are weary? And he took the elders of the city, and thorns of the wilderness, and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. And he beat down the tower of Penuel, and slew the men of the city. Then said he unto Zebach and Zalmunna, What manner of men were they whom you slew at Dabar? And they answered, As you are, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a king. And he said, They were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. As Yahuah lives, if you had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And he said unto Yether, his firstborn, Up, and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Then Zebach and Zalmunna said, Rise you, and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose, and slew Zebach and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments that were on their camels' necks. Then the men of Yasharel said unto Gideon, Rule you over us, both you and your son's son also, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. Yahuah shall rule over you. And Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that you would give me every man the earrings of his prey, for they had golden earrings, because they were Yishmaeli. And they answered, We will willingly give them. And they spread a garment, and did cast therein every man the earrings of his prey. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides ornaments and collars and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and beside the chains that were about their camels' necks. And Gideon made an ephod thereof, and put it in his city, even in Ophrah, and all Yasharel went thither a whoring after it, which thing became a snare unto Gideon and to his house. Thus was Midian subdued before the children of Yasharel, so that they lifted up their heads no more. And the country was in quietness 40 years in the days of Gideon. And Yerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelled in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. And his concubine that was in Shechem, she also bare him a son, whose name he called Abimelech. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died in a good old age, and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash his father, in Ophrah of the Abi ha-Ezri. And it came to pass, as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Yasharel turned again, and went a-whoring after Baal, and made Baal Berith their god. And the children of Yasharel remembered not Yahuah their Elohim, who had delivered them out of the hands of all their enemies on every side. Neither showed they kindness to the house of Yerubbaal, namely Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had shown unto Yasharel. Chapter 9. And Abimelech, the son of Yerubbaal, went to Shechem unto his mother's brethren, and communed with them, and with all the family of the house of his mother's father, saying, Speak, I pray you, in the ears of all the men of Shechem, whether it is better for you, either that all the sons of Yerubbaal, which are 70 persons, reign over you, or that one reign over you. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. And his mother's brethren spoke of him in the ears of all the men of Shechem all these words, and their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, He is our brother. And they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal Berith, wherewith Abimelech hired vain and light persons which followed him. And he went unto his father's house at Ophrah, and slew his brethren, the sons of Yerubbaal, being 70 persons, upon one stone. Notwithstanding yet Jotham, the youngest son of Yerubbaal, was left, for he hid himself. And all the men of Shechem gathered together, and all the house of Beth Milo, and went and made Abimelech king by the plain of the pillar that was in Shechem. And when they told it to Jotham, he went and stood in top of Mount Gerizim, and lifted up his voice, and cried, and said unto them, Hearken unto me, ye men of Shechem, that Elohim may hearken unto you. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them. And they said unto the olive tree, Reign you over us. But the olive tree said unto them, Should I leave my fatness, wherewith by me they honor Elohim, and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? And the trees said to the fig tree, Come you, and reign over us. But the fig tree said unto them, Should I forsake my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to be promoted over the trees? Then said the trees unto the vine, Come you, and reign over us. And the vine said unto them, Should I leave my wine, which cheers Elohim, and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? Then said all the trees unto the bramble, Come you, and reign over us. And the bramble said unto the trees, If in truth you anoint me king over you, then come and put your trust in my shadow. And if not, let fire come out of the bramble, and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now therefore, if you have done truly and sincerely, in that you have made Abimelech king, and if you have dealt well with Jerubbaal and his house, and have gone unto him according to the deserving of his hands, for my father fought for you, and adventured his life far, and delivered you out of the hand of Midian. And you are risen up against my father's house this day, and have slain his sons, 70 persons, upon one stone, and have made Abimelech, the son of his maidservant, king over the men of Shechem, because he is your brother. If ye then have dealt truly and sincerely with Jerubbaal and with his house this day, then rejoice ye in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech, and devour the men of Shechem, and the house of Milo, and let fire come out from the men of Shechem, and from the house of Milo, and devour Abimelech. And Jotham ran away, and fled, and went to Beer, and dwelt there, for fear of Abimelech his brother, when Abimelech had reigned 3 years over Yasharel. Then Elohim sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, that the cruelty done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might come, and their blood be laid upon Abimelech their brother, which slew them, and upon the men of Shechem, which aided him in the killing of his brethren. And the men of Shechem set liers in wait for him in the top of the mountains, and they robbed all that came along that way by them. And it was told Abimelech. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, came with his brethren, and went over to Shechem. And the men of Shechem put their confidence in him. And they went out into the fields, and gathered their vineyards, and trode the grapes, and made merry, and went into the house of their God, and did eat and drink, and cursed Abimelech. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, said, Who is Abimelech, and who is Shechem, that we should serve him? Is not he the son of Jerubbaal, and Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for why should we serve him? If only this people were under my command, then I would remove Abimelech. And he said to Abimelech, Increase your army, and come out. And when Zebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gaal, the son of Ebed, his anger was kindled. And he sent messengers unto Abimelech privily, saying, Behold, Gaal, the son of Ebed, and his brethren be come to Shechem, and behold, they fortify the city against you. Now therefore, up by night, you and the people that is with you, and lie in wait in the field. And it shall be that in the morning, as soon as the sun is up, you shall rise early, and set upon the city, and behold, when he and the people that is with him come out against you, then may you do to them as you shall find occasion. And Abimelech rose up, and all the people that were with him by night, and they laid wait against Shechem in 4 companies. And Gaal the son of Ebed went out, and stood in the entering of the gate of the city. And Abimelech rose up, and the people that were with him, from lying in wait. And when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, Behold, there come people down from the top of the mountains. And Zebul said unto him, You see the shadow of the mountains as if they were men. And Gaal spoke again and said, See, there come people down by the middle of the land, and another company come along by the plain of Anan. Then Zebul said unto him, Where is now your mouth, wherefore you said, Who is Abimelech, that we should serve him? Is not this the people that you have despised? Go out, I pray now, and fight with them. And Gaal went out before the men of Shechem, and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him, and many were overthrown and wounded, even unto the entering of the gate. And Abimelech dwelt at Arumah, and Zebul thrust out Gaal and his brethren, that they should not dwell in Shechem. And it came to pass on the morrow that the people went out into the field, and they told Abimelech. And he took the people, and divided them into 3 companies, and laid wait in the field, and looked, and behold, the people were come forth out of the city, and he rose up against them, and smote them. And Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward, and stood in the entering of the gate of the city. And the 2 other companies ran upon all the people that were in the fields, and slew them. And Abimelech fought against the city all that day, and he took the city, and slew the people that was therein, and beat down the city, and sowed it with salt. And when all the men of the tower of Shechem heard that, they entered into a hold of the house of the god of Berith. And it was told Abimelech that all the men of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. And Abimelech gat him up to Mount Salmon, he and all the people that were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand, and cut down a bough from the trees, and took it, and laid it on his shoulder, and said unto the people that were with him, What ye have seen me do, make haste, and do as I have done. And all the people likewise cut down every man his bough, and followed Abimelech, and put them to the hold, and set the hold on fire upon them, so that all the men of the tower of Shechem died also, about 1,000 men and women. Then Abimelech went to Tebetz, and encamped against Tebetz, and took it. But there was a strong tower within the city, and thither fled all the men and women, and all they of the city, and shut it to them, and gat them up to the top of the tower. And Abimelech came unto the tower, and fought against it, and went hard unto the door of the tower to burn it with fire. And a certain woman cast a piece of a millstone upon Abimelech's head, and all to break his skull. Then he called hastily unto the young man, his armor-bearer, and said unto him, Draw your sword, and slay me, that men not say of me, A woman slew me. And his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Yasharel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed every man unto his place. Thus Elohim rendered the wickedness of Abimelech, which he did unto his father in slaying his 70 brethren. And all the evil of the men of Shechem did Elohim render upon their heads, and upon them came the curse of Jotham the son of Jerubbaal. Chapter 10. And after Abimelech there arose to defend Yasharel Tolah, the son of Puah, the son of Dodo, a man of Yissaschar, and he dwelt in Shamir in Mount Ephraim. And he judged Yasharel 23 years, and died, and was buried in Shamir. And after him arose Yair, a Giladi, and judged Yasharel 22 years. And he had 30 sons that rode on 30 ass colts, and they had 30 cities, which are called Shavuoth Yair unto this day, which are in the land of Gilad. And Yair died, and was buried in Kamon. And the children of Yasharel did evil again in the sight of Yahuah, and served Baal, and Ashtaroth, and the gods of Aram, and the gods of Sidon, and the gods of Moab, and the gods of the children of Ammon, and the gods of the Pelishti, and forsook Yahuah, and served not him. And the anger of Yahuah was hot against Yasharel, and he sold them into the hands of the Pelishti, and into the hands of the children of Ammon. And that year they vexed and oppressed the children of Yasharel. 18 years all the children of Yasharel that were on the other side Yarden, in the land of the Emori, which is in Gilad. Moreover, the children of Ammon passed over Yarden to fight also against Yahudah, and against Benjamin, and against the house of Ephraim, so that Yasharel was sore distressed. And the children of Yasharel cried unto Yahuah, saying, We have sinned against you, both because we have forsaken our Elohim, and also served Baal. And Yahuah said unto the children of Yasharel, Did I not deliver you from the Mitzri, and from the Emori, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Pelishti? The Tzidoni also, and the Amaleki, and the Maon did oppress you, and you cried to me, and I delivered you out of their hand. Yet you have forsaken me, and served other gods. Wherefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry unto the gods which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. And the children of Yasharel said unto Yahuah, We have sinned. Do you unto us whatsoever seems good unto you. Deliver us only, we pray you, this day. And they put away the strange gods from among them, and served Yahuah, and his soul was grieved for the misery of Yasharel. Then the children of Ammon were gathered together and encamped in Gilad, and the children of Yasharel assembled themselves together and encamped in Mitzpah. And the people and princes of Gilad said to one another, What man is he that will begin to fight against the children of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilad. Chapter 11. Now Yiftach the Giladi was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of a harlot, and Gilad begat Yiftach. And Gilad's wife bare him sons, and his wife's sons grew up. And they thrust out Yiftach, and said unto him, Ye shall not inherit in our father's house, for you are the son of a strange woman. Then Yiftach fled from his brethren, and dwelt in the land of Tob. And there were gathered vain men to Yiftach, and they went out with him. And it came to pass in process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Yasharel. And it was so that when the children of Ammon made war against Yasharel, the elders of Gilad went to fetch Yiftach out of the land of Tob. And they said unto Yiftach, Come, and be our captain, that we may fight with the children of Ammon. And Yiftach said unto the elders of Gilad, Did you not hate me and expel me out of my father's house? And why are you come unto me now when you are in distress? And the elders of Gilad said unto Yiftach, Therefore we turn again to you now, that you may go with us, and fight against the children of Ammon, and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilad. And Yiftach said unto the elders of Gilad, If you bring me home again to fight against the children of Ammon, and Yahuah deliver them before me, shall I be your head? And the elders of Gilad said unto Yiftach, Yahuah be witness between us, if we do not so according to your words. Then Yiftach went with the elders of Gilad, and the people made him head and captain over them. And Yiftach uttered all his words before Yahuah in Mitzpah. And Yiftach sent messengers unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, What have you to do with me, that you are come against me to fight in my land? And the king of the children of Ammon answered unto the messengers of Yiftach, Because Yasharel took away my land when they came up out of Mitzrayim, from Arnon even unto Yabok and unto Yarden. Now therefore restore those lands again peaceably. And Yiftach sent messengers again unto the king of the children of Ammon, and said unto them, Thus said Yiftach, Yasharel took not away the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon. But when Yasharel came up from Mitzrayim, and walked through the wilderness unto the Red Sea, and came to Kadesh, then Yasharel sent messengers unto the king of Edom, saying, Let me, I pray you, pass through your land. But the king of Edom would not hearken thereto. And in like manner they sent unto the king of Moab, but he would not consent. And Yasharel abode in Kadesh. Then they went along through the wilderness, and compassed the land of Edom, and the land of Moab, and came by the east side of the land of Moab, and pitched on the other side of Arnon, but came not within the border of Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. And Yasharel sent messages unto Sihon, the king of the Emori, the king of Heshbon, and Yasharel said unto him, Let us pass, we pray you, through your land into my place. But Sihon trusted not Yasharel to pass through his coast. But Sihon gathered all his people together, and pitched in Yahatz, and fought against Yasharel. And Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel delivered Sihon and all his people into the hand of Yasharel, and they smote them. So Yasharel possessed all the land of the Emori, the inhabitants of that country. And they possessed all the coasts of the Emori, from Arnon even unto Yabok, and from the wilderness even unto Yarden. Now Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel hath dispossessed the Emori from before his people Yasharel, and should you possess it? Will not you possess that which Chemosh your God gives you to possess? So whomsoever Yahuah our Elohim shall drive out from before us, them we will possess. And now, are you anything better than Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Yasharel, or did he ever fight against them, while Yasharel dwelt in Heshbon and her towns, and in Aroer and her towns, and in all the cities that be along by the coasts of Arnon, 300 years? Why therefore did you not recover them within that time? Wherefore I have not sinned against you, but you do me wrong to war against me. Yahuah the judge be judged this day between the children of Yasharel and the children of Ammon. Howbeit the king of the children of Ammon hearkened not unto the words of Yiftach, which he sent him. Then the Ruach of Yahuah came upon Yiftach, and he passed over Gilad and Manasseh, and passed over Mitzvah of Gilad, and from Mitzvah of Gilad he passed over unto the children of Ammon. And Yiftach vowed a vow unto Yahuah, and said, If you shall without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever comes forth of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the children of Ammon shall surely be Yahuah's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So Yiftach passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and Yahuah delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aroer even till you come to Meneth, even 20 cities, and unto the plain of the vineyards with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Yasharel. And Yiftach came to Mitzvah unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him, with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child. Beside her he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes, and said, Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low, and you are one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto Yahuah, and I cannot go back. So she said to him, My father, you have given your word to Yahuah. Do to me just as you have said, since Yahuah has brought you vengeance on your enemies, the son of Ammon. And she said unto her father, Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains, and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. And he said, Go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions, and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed. And she knew no man, and it was a custom in Yasharel, that the daughters of Yasharel went yearly to lament the daughter of Yiftach, the Giladi, 4 days in a year. Chapter 12. And the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together, and went northward, and said unto Yiftach, Wherefore passed you over to fight against the children of Ammon, and did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house upon you with fire. And Yiftach said unto them, I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon, and when I called you, you delivered me not out of their hands. And when I saw that you delivered me not, I put my life in my hands, and passed over against the children of Ammon. And Yahuah delivered them into my hand. Wherefore then are you come up unto me this day, to fight against me? Then Yiftach gathered together all the men of Gilad, and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilad smote Ephraim, because they said, You, Gilad, are fugitives of Ephraim, among the Ephraim, and among the Manasseh. And Gilad took the passage of Yarden before the Ephraim. And it was so, that when those Ephraim which were escaped said, Let me go over, that the men of Gilad said unto them, Are you an Ephrathi? If he said, Nay, then they said unto him, Say now, Shibboleth. And he said, Sibboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right. Then they took him, and slew him at the passages of Yarden. And there fell at that time of the Ephraim 42,000. And Yiftach judged Yasharel 6 years. Then died Yiftach the Gileadi, and was buried in one of the cities of Gilad. And after him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Yasharel. And he had 30 sons and 30 daughters, whom he sent abroad, and took in 30 daughters from abroad for his sons. And he judged Yasharel 7 years. Then died Ibzan, and was buried at Bethlehem. And after him, Elon, a Zebuloni, judged Yasharel, and he judged Yasharel 10 years. And Elon the Zebuloni died, and was buried in Ayalon, in the country of Zebulun. And after him, Abdon, the son of Hillel, a Pirathoni, judged Yasharel. And he had 40 sons and 30 nephews, that rode on 70 ass colts. And he judged Yasharel 8 years. And Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pirathoni, died, and was buried in Pirathon, in the land of Ephraim, in the mount of the Amaleki. Chapter 13. And the children of Yasharel did evil again in the sight of Yahuah, and Yahuah delivered them into the hand of the Pelishti 40 years. And there was a certain man of Tzorah, of the family of the Dani, whose name was Manoach, and his wife was barren, and bare not. And the angel of Yahuah appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold now, you are barren, and bear not, but ye shall conceive, and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray you, and drink not wine, nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, you shall conceive, and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head. For the child shall be a Nazir unto Elohim from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Yasharel out of the hand of the Pelishti. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of Elohim came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of Elohim, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told me his name. But he said unto me, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing. For the child shall be a Nazir unto Elohim from the womb to the day of his death. Then Manoach entreated Yahuah, and said, O my Adonai, let the man of Elohim which you did send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. And Elohim hearkened to the voice of Manoach, and the angel of Elohim came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoach her husband was not with her. And the woman made haste, and ran, and showed her husband, and said unto him, Behold, the man has appeared unto me, that came unto me the other day. And Manoach arose, and went after his wife, and came to the man, and said unto him, Are you the man that spoke unto the woman? And he said, I am. And Manoach said, Now let your words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? And the angel of Yahuah said unto Manoach, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that comes of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. And Manoach said unto the angel of Yahuah, I pray you, let us detain you until we have made ready a kid for you. And the angel of Yahuah said unto Manoach, Though you detain me, I will not eat of your bread, and if you will offer a burnt offering, you must offer it unto Yahuah. For Manoach knew not that he was an angel of Yahuah. And Manoach said unto the angel of Yahuah, What is your name, that when your sayings come to pass we may do you honor? And the angel of Yahuah said unto him, Why ask you thus after my name, seeing it is secret? So Manoach took a kid with a meat offering, and offered it upon a rock unto Yahuah. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoach and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, that the angel of Yahuah ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoach and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground. But the angel of Yahuah did no more appear to Manoach and to his wife. Then Manoach knew that he was an angel of Yahuah. And Manoach said unto his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen Elohim. But his wife said unto him, If Yahuah were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would, as at this time, have told us such things as these. And the woman bare a son, and called his name Shimshon, and the child grew, and Yahuah blessed him. And the Ruach of Yahuah began to move in him at times in the camp of Dan between Tzorah and Eshtaol. Chapter 14. And Shimshon went down to Timnah, and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Pelishti. And he came up and told his father and his mother, and said, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Pelishti. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of your brethren, or among all my people, that you go to take a wife of the uncircumcised Pelishti? And Shimshon said to his father, Get her for me, for she pleases me well. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of Yahuah, that he sought an occasion against the Pelishti, for at that time the Pelishti had dominion over Yasharel. Then went Shimshon down, and his father and his mother, to Timnah, and came to the vineyards of Timnah, and behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Ruach of Yahuah came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Shimshon well. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So his father went down unto the woman, and Shimshon made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. And it came to pass, when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Shimshon said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If you can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast, and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. But if you cannot declare it me, then shall you give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And they said unto him, Put forth your riddle, that we may hear it. And he said unto them, Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Shimshon's wife, Entice your husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you called us to take that what we have? Is it not so? And Shimshon's wife wept before him, and said, You do but hate me, and love me not. You have put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and have not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father nor my mother, and shall I tell it you? And she wept before him the 7 days, while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If you had not plowed with my heifer, you had not found out my riddle. And the Ruach of Yahuah came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. But Shimshon's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. Chapter 15. But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Shimshon visited his wife with a kid. And he said, I will go in to my wife into the chamber. But her father would not suffer him to go in. And her father said, I verily thought that you had utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to your companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray you, instead of her. And Shimshon said concerning them, Now shall I be more blameless than the Pelishti, though I do them a displeasure. And Shimshon went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between two tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Pelishti, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. Then the Pelishti said, Who has done this? And they answered, Shimshon, the son-in-law of the Timni, because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion. And the Pelishti came up and burnt her and her father with fire. And Shimshon said unto them, Though you have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease. And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. And he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. Then the Pelishti went up and pitched in Yahudah, and spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Yahudah said, Why are ye come up against us? And they answered, To bind Shimshon are we come up, to do to him as he has done to us. Then 3,000 men of Yahudah went to the top of the rock Etam, and said to Shimshon, Know you not that the Pelishti are rulers over us? What is this that you have done unto us? And he said unto them, As they did unto me, so have I done unto them. And they said unto him, We are come down to bind you, that we may deliver you into the hand of the Pelishti. And Shimshon said unto them, Swear unto me, that you will not fall upon me yourselves. And they spoke unto him, saying, No, but we will bind you fast, and deliver you into their hand. But surely we will not kill you. And they bound him with 2 new cords, and brought him up from the rock. And when he came up to Lehi, the Pelishti shouted against him, and the Ruach of Yahuah came mightily upon him. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put it forth in his hands, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Shimshon said, With the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps. With the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called that place Ramath Lehi. And he was sore athirst, and called on Yahuah, and said, You have given this great deliverance into the hand of your servant, and now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised? But Elohim clave a hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. And when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived. Therefore he called the name thereof Ein Hakor, which is in Lehi unto this day. And he judged Yasharel in the days of the Pelishti 20 years. Chapter 16. Then went Shimshon to Azah, and saw there a harlot, and went in unto her. And it was told the Azathi, saying, Shimshon is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Shimshon lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of a hill that is before Hebron. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Pelishti came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lies, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give you every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Shimshon, Tell me, I pray you, wherein your great strength lies, and wherewith you might be bound to afflict you. And Shimshon said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Then the lords of the Pelishti brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, The Pelishti be upon you, Shimshon. And he brake the withs, as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Shimshon, Behold, you have mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray you, wherewith you might be bound. And he said unto her, If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said unto him, The Pelishti be upon you, Shimshon. And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Shimshon, Therefore you have mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith you might be bound. And he said unto her, If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him, The Pelishti be upon you, Shimshon. And he awaked out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him, How can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and have not told me wherein your great strength lies. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There has not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazir unto Elohim from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Pelishti, saying, Come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Pelishti came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees. She called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Pelishti be upon you, Shimshon. And he awoke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as at other times before, and shake myself. And he knew not that Yahuah was departed from him. But the Pelishti took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Azah, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the lords of the Pelishti gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their god, and to rejoice, for they said, Our God has delivered Shimshon our enemy into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Shimshon, that he may make us sport. And they called for Shimshon out of the prison house, and he made them sport, and they set him between the pillars. And Shimshon said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house stands, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Pelishti were there, and there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Shimshon made sport. And Shimshon called unto Yahuah, and said, O Adonai Yahuah, remember me, I pray you, and strengthen me, I pray you, only this once, O Elohim, that I may be at once avenged of the Pelishtim for my 2 eyes. And Shimshon took hold of the 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. And Shimshon said, Let me die with the Pelishti. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Sorah and Eshtaol in the burying place of Manoach his father. And he judged Yasharel 20 years. Chapter 17. And there was a man of Mount Ephraim, whose name was Mikayahu. And he said unto his mother, The 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from you, about which you cursed and spoke of also in mine ears, behold, the silver is with me, I took it. And his mother said, Blessed be you of Yahuah, my son. And when he had restored the 1,100 shekels of silver to his mother said, I had wholly dedicated the silver unto Yahuah from my hand for my son, to make a graven image and a molten image. Now therefore I will restore it unto you. Yet he restored the money unto his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver, and gave them to the founder, who made thereof a graven image and a molten image, and they were in the house of Mikayahu. And the man Mikayahu had a house of gods, and made an ephod and a teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons, who became his Kohen. In those days there was no king in Yasharel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. And there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Yahudah of the family of Yahudah, who was a Lewi, and he sojourned there. And the man departed out of the city from Bethlehem, Yahudah, to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Mikayahu, as he journeyed. And Mikayahu said unto him, Whence come you? And he said unto him, I am a Lewi of Bethlehem, Yahudah, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place. And Mikayahu said unto him, Dwell with me, and be unto me a father and a Kohen, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suit of apparel, and your victuals. So the Lewi went in. And the Lewi was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. And Mikayahu consecrated the Lewi, and the young man became his Kohen, and was in the house of Mikayahu. Then said Mikayahu, Now I know that Yahuah will do me good, seeing I have a Lewi to my Kohen. Chapter 18. In those days there was no king in Yasharel. And in those days the tribe of the Dani sought them an inheritance to dwell in, for unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Yasharel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coasts, men of valor, from Tzorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land, and to search it. And they said unto them, Go, search the land. Who when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Mikayahu, they lodged there. When they were by the house of Mikayahu, they knew the voice of the young man, the Lewi, and they turned in thither, and said unto him, Who brought you hither? And what make you of this place? And what have you here? And he said unto them, Thus and thus deals Mikayahu with me, and has hired me, and I am his Kohen. And they said unto him, Ask counsel, we pray you, of Elohim, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous. And the Kohen said unto them, Go in peace, before Yahuah is your way wherein you go. Then the 5 men departed, and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Tzidoni, quiet and secure, and there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything, and they were far from the Tzidoni, and had no business with any man. And they came unto their brethren to Tzorah and Eshtaol, and their brethren said unto them, What say you? And they said, Arise, that we may go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And are you still? Be not slothful to go, and to enter to possess the land. When you go, you shall come unto a people secure, and to a large land. For Elohim has given it into your hands, a place where there is no want of anything that is in the earth. And there went from thence of the family of the Dani, out of Tzorah and out of Eshtaol, 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And they went up and pitched in Kiriath Yearim and Yahudah, wherefore they called that place Machane Dan unto this day. Behold, it is behind Kiriath Yearim. And they passed thence unto Mount Ephraim, and came unto the house of Mikayahu. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren, Do you know that there is in these houses an ephod, and teraphim, and a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider what you have to do. And they turned thitherward, and came to the house of the young man the Lewi, even unto the house of Mikayahu, and saluted him. And the 600 men, appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up, and came thither, and took the graven image, and the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. And the Kohen stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. And these went into Mikayahu's house, and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the Kohen unto them, What do you do? And they said unto him, Hold your peace, lay your hand upon your mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a Kohen. Is it better for you to be a Kohen unto the house of one man, or that you be a Kohen unto a tribe and a family in Yasharel? And the Kohen's heart was glad, and he took the ephod, and the teraphim, and the graven image, and went in the midst of the people. So they turned and departed, and put the little ones, and the cattle, and the carriage before them. And when they were a good way from the house of Mikiyehu, the men that were in the houses near Mikiyehu's house were gathered together, and overtook the children of Dan. And they cried unto the children of Dan, and they turned their faces, and said unto Mikiyehu, What ail you, that you come with such a company? And he said, You have taken away my gods which I made, and the Kohen, and you are gone away, and what have I more? And what is this that you say unto me? What ail you? And the children of Dan said unto him, Let not your voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon you, and you lose your life with the lives of your household. And the children of Dan went their way. And when Mikiyehu saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back unto his house. And they took the things which Mikiyehu had made, and the Kohen which he had, and came unto Laish, unto a people that were at quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no business with any man. And it was in the valley that lies by Beth Rahob, and they built a city, and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Yasharel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image, and Jehonathan, the son of Gershon, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were Kohen to the tribe of Dan, until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Mikiyehu's graven image, which he made, all the time that the house of Elohim was in Shiloh. Chapter 19. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Yasharel, that there was a certain Lewi sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem Yahudah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem Yahudah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her, to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses, and she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodged there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort your heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down, and did eat and drink both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray you, and tarry all night, and let your heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort your heart, I pray you. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat, both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draws toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day grows to an end. Lodge here, that your heart may be merry, and tomorrow get you early on your way, that you may go home. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed, and came over against Yebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled, his concubine also was with him. And when they were by Yebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray you, and let us turn into this city of the Yebusi, and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger, that is not of the children of Yasharel. We will pass over to Geba. And he said unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night, in Geba or in Ramah. And they passed on, and went their way. And the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibah, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibah. And when he went in, he sat him down in a street of the city, for there was no man that took them into his house to lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at even, which was also of Mount Ephraim. And he sojourned in Gibah, but the men of the place were Benjamin. And when he lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither go you, and whence come you? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem Yahudah toward the side of Mount Ephraim. From thence am I, and I went to Bethlehem Yahudah, but I am now going to the house of Yahuah, and there is no man that receives me to house. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for your handmaid, and for the young man which is with your servants. There is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with you. Howsoever, let all your wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house, and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet, and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into your house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is come into mine house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble you them, and do with them what seems good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine, and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her, and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house where her lord was, till it was light. And her lord rose up in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up, and gat him unto his place. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife, and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her, together with her bones, into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Yasharel. And it was so that all that saw it said, There was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Yasharel came up out of the land of Mitzrayim unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. Chapter 20. Then all the children of Yasharel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilad unto Yahuah in Mitzvah. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Yasharel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of Elohim, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Yasharel were gone up to Mitzvah. Then said the children of Yasharel, Tell us, how was this wickedness? And the Leoi, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Gibah, that belongs to Benjamin, I and my concubine, to lodge. And the men of Gibah rose against me, and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me, and my concubine have they forced, that she is dead. And I took my concubine, and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Yasharel, for they have committed lewdness and folly in Yasharel. Behold, you are all children of Yasharel. Give here your advice and counsel. And all the people arose as one man, saying, We will not any of us go to his tent, neither will any of us turn into his house. But now this shall be the thing which we shall do to Gibah. We will go up by lot against it, and we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Yasharel. and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victual for the people, that they may do, when they come to Gibah of Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Yasharel. So all the men of Yasharel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Yasharel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore, deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Yasharel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Yasharel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibah, to go out to battle against the children of Yasharel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people there were 700 chosen men left-handed. Every one could sling stones at a hair breadth and not miss. And the men of Yasharel, besides Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword. All these were men of war. Now the sons of Yasharel set out, and went up to Bethel, and inquired of Elohim, and said, Who shall go up first for us to battle against the sons of Benjamin? Then Yahuah said, Yahudah shall go up first. And the children of Yasharel rose up in the morning, and encamped against Gibah. And the men of Yasharel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Yasharel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibah, and destroyed down to the ground of the Yasharel that day 22,000 men. And the people of the men of Yasharel encouraged themselves, and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Yasharel went up and wept before Yahuah until even, and asked counsel of Yahuah, saying, Shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And Yahuah said, Go up against him. And the children of Yasharel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Yasharel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Then all the children of Yasharel and all the people went up and came unto the house of Bethel, and wept, and sat there before Yahuah, and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahuah. And the children of Yasharel inquired of Yahuah, for the ark of the covenant of Elohim was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aharon, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And Yahuah said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand. And Yasharel sent liers in wait round about Gibah. And the children of Yasharel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibah, as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and they began to smite of the people, and kill, as at other times, in the highways, of which one goes up to the house of Bethel, and the other to Gibah in the field, about 30 men of Yasharel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us, as at the first. But the children of Yasharel said, Let us flee, and draw them from the city unto the highways. And all the men of Yasharel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baal Tamar. And the liers in wait of Yasharel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibah. And there came against Gibah 10,000 chosen men out of all Yasharel. And the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And Yahuah smote Benjamin before Yasharel. And the children of Yasharel destroyed of the Benjamin that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for the men of Yasharel gave place to the Benjamin, because they trusted unto the liers in wait which they had set beside Gibah. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along, and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Yasharel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Yasharel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Yasharel about 30 persons. For they said, Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle. But when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamin looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the men of Yasharel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Yasharel into the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjamin round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Geba toward the sun rising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men, all these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gedom, and slew 2,000 men of them. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Yasharel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well as the men of every city, as the beast, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to. Chapter 21. Now the men of Yasharel had sworn a mitzvah, saying, There shall not any of us give his daughter unto Benjamin to wife. And the people came to the house of Bethel, and abode there till even before Elohim, and lifted up their voices, and wept sore, and said, O Yahuah Elohim of Yasharel, why is this come to pass in Yasharel, that there should be today one tribe lacking in Yasharel? And it came to pass on the morrow that the people rose early, and built there an altar, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Yasharel said, Who is there among all the tribes of Yasharel that came not up with the congregation unto Yahuah? For they had made a great oath concerning him that came not up to Yahuah to Mitzvah, saying, He shall surely be put to death. And the children of Yasharel repented them for Benjamin their brother, and said, There is one tribe cut off from Yasharel this day. How shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing we have sworn by Yahuah that we will not give them of our daughters to wives? And they said, What one is there of the tribes of Yasharel that came not up to Mitzvah to Yahuah? And behold, there came none to the camp from Yabesh Gilad to the assembly. For the people were numbered, and behold, there were none of the inhabitants of Yabesh Gilad there. And the congregation sent thither 12,000 men of the valiantest, and commanded them, saying, Go and smite the inhabitants of Yabesh Gilad with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children. And this is the thing that you shall do: you shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that has lain by man. And they found among the inhabitants of Yabesh Gilad 400 young virgins, that had known no man by lying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp to Shiloh, which is in the land of Kenaan. And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock Rimmon, and to call peaceably unto them. And Benjamin came again at that time, and they gave them wives which they had saved alive of the women of Yabesh Gilad, and yet so they sufficed them not. And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that Yahuah had made a breach in the tribes of Yasharel. Then the elders of the congregation said, How shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, There must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Yasharel. Howbeit, we may not give them wives of our daughters, for the children of Yasharel have sworn, saying, Cursed be he that gives a wife to Benjamin. Then they said, Behold, there is a feast of Yahuah in Shiloh yearly in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goes up from Bethel to Shechem, on the south of Lebanah. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, Go and lie in wait in the vineyards. And see, and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come you out of the vineyards, and catch you every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be, when their fathers or their brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them, Be favorable unto them for our sakes, because we reserved not to each man his wife in the war. For you did not give unto them at this time, that you should be guilty. And the children of Benjamin did so, and took them wives, according to their number, of them that dance, whom they caught. And they went and returned unto their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelt in them. And the children of Yasharel departed thence at that time, every man to his tribe and to his family, and they went out from thence every man to his inheritance. In those days there was no king in Yasharel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes.